Dr. G is going to be talking about the next aspect of our being very healthy, you and your health.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about first what this podcast is about, and today we're going to focus on lifestyle as it relates to food. Because physical body, of which the big part of the manifested body is physical body, totally depends on energy.
Right.
And that energy, as a human beings, comes from outside, and that is the food. So the food really is the source of energy to keep this physical body going. And physical body, as you know, and most of our listeners know, is the five elements, and then what we call indriyas or gyanendri or senses, and locomotion. All that is only possible if physical body can be going.
Right.
And that is only possible if we have the right food. So the food is the most important component of being healthy. And I think of the food, I think of it not only what you eat, which we'll talk in great details of what you eat, because that's what food is, but then also when you eat, how you eat, how much you eat, and why you eat is equally important. And we don't talk much about it. And this is where the fusion of East and West comes in. The Western medicine, which has evolved tremendously, is very reductive in its thinking. So every problem they take, they have to go deeper and keep reducing it till it becomes very fragmented. Whereas Eastern philosophy always is integrative, to bring it together.
Right.
And I think what we're talking about is fusing both the East and the West in reductive thinking and the integrative thinking around food.
And especially because we are not in our land that we were born in, some of us, and so we've migrated to another country, which is a Western country, and we come from an Eastern way of thinking. So you're trying to marriage both of them together.
But it's very interesting you raised that. The world has become a village.
It has.
Yeah, and doesn't matter where you live, the information is going so fast and the behavior is changing. But culture plays a very big role, and doesn't matter where you are, you still stay with the food which you were prescribed or were exposed to when you were a child.
That's true.
And you look at even in here, how many eateries are there of Indian food, And Indian food is one of the best and the healthiest food.
Yes. And it can also be one of the worst.
Depending on what, and we will talk about
And that's
that.
what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and also those spices are really what add the flavor. And I think that's very key component. So staying with the food, when you eat, is very important. Mainly because body, again, remember, the reason you're having food is to produce biological energy. Food has to be metabolized, food has to be absorbed, food has to be digested, and then converted into biological energy, of which then allows you to move. So biological energy essentially is production of what we call ATP.
Right.
This is the molecule which makes, like right now I'm talking to you, my tongue is moving, it requires that biological energy to do that.
Yes.
I have my hand here, I fold it,
Yeah.
this is biological energy.
That's right.
And where it's coming from? From the food. And that food has to be digested. So it's very important that we understand that when you eat, why you eat, how much you eat, and how you eat are very important component of maximizing the benefit of food.
So food is like the battery of a phone. So food is our battery.
Yeah.
It gives us that energy, right?
Absolutely. And without energy, you cannot do anything. And it's very complicated metabolic machinery. All the organs are involved, and thousands of reactions are taking place. And one day, I think when science becomes clear, we're going to find that the physical body and the prana and mana and vijnana of astral body and the anand bliss are all really part of this metabolic machinery. And it's all made of elements, it's all made of atoms. And you know, atoms are like sodium, potassium, and all these things, and they electrons are moving at a certain speed, and those vibrations are taking place. And health is really the sum of all that functioning in rhythm. And illness is when that gets deranged. And food becomes very important in making sure that you are in rhythm. That's why food is so critical.
So let's just go through each and every aspect of it. When? How much?
Okay, so I think when is essentially time of the day. You know, you are as a human, we are product of cycle. So we go to sleep, the sun rises, the night comes, and the body is what we call circadian rhythm. And the hunger is associated with that.
Okay.
So I think the timing is very important.
Okay.
And depending on the cycle, so for example, some people, they work midnight, so their rhythms will be different. But talking about the average person who works during the day and sleeps during the night, there is a certain rhythm. And I think the most important component of when we eat is that you should not eat just before you go to sleep. And most of the time, our people eat very late dinner.
That's right.
And then they go to sleep.
Yes.
And that's a no-no.
Yes.
And the prescription really is you should eat before sunset. So 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, but no later than 8 o'clock, you should have your main last meal.
So even if you're living in the West, where our time zones are different and it's changed because we are in the northern hemisphere, so the sun doesn't set in the summertime until 9:30 at night.
Yeah.
Even then, you should eat early.
Yeah, I think there is obviously solar cycle, lunar cycle, and all that.
Yeah.
But idea is you should eat no later than 2 hours before you go to sleep. So that's the idea, and also have a fast of 10 hours or something while you're sleeping, or 7 hours.
Right.
So no
minimum.
Munching quite a bit during the night, you know.
Right.
And then start your biggest meal should be the breakfast when you break fast, you know, and then lunch, and the dinner should be the smallest meal. So it's the when is very important of the food, but mostly for our podcast, my main thing is this bad habit we have, at least we're talking about South Asians or Indian culture, the dinner is our biggest meal.
Right.
And we eat quite late.
Yes, and quite a bit.
Forget about the circadian rhythms and forget about weathers and the climate. But generally speaking, because we love banquets and all that, and that's what I'm really want to get at is that they should eat early.
Yes.
And dinner should be one of the smaller meals.
I think when I first came to the West, and you must have also noticed that, that in the West, people do eat their evening meal and call it supper earlier.
Yeah.
And they don't have huge big meal at supper time.
Absolutely, and we should learn from that.
Yes.
And I think we should incorporate that.
Yes.
Instead of that, we got into the habit of other way, and so that's the when.
Yes.
Then why you eat.
Right.
And that is important because body needs biological energy through food, and body has all the built-in signals of why you eat. So hunger is when you feel hungry, that's only you should eat. But instead of that, we have become very social, and the eating is social. So you go someone's place, they insist that you have tea, you have
a little cookie,
yeah,
a
and
little
all that.
jalebi, a little samosa.
And even though it's important social part, it's not what body needs.
Right.
We need to listen to the body and have why we eat is when you're hungry.
Right.
And have some proportions of time. And so breakfast, then lunch, and then early supper is natural hunger comes. And body will tell you, that you are hungry. And there are much research now in terms of gut hormones, in terms of gut bacteria, how it affects the mind, and how the mind is playing a role. Not the brain, but even the mind is playing a role in controlling this eating of when you eat. So I think that's important, and also why you eat. Then how you eat. How you eat is very critical. And that starts, first of all, in the how, I include sustainability of the food.
Right.
The food, where it's coming from, where it is stored, and how we're eating. And that starts right from the first one, which is taking a bite and chewing it. And that's where the digestion starts. And how it becomes very important. And then making sure, when you were a kid, you were always told to chew at least 10 times, 20 times.
36 times.
36 times, and we have forgotten that.
Right.
But the good thing about that is it allows the digestive enzymes to come right from the mouth with the parotid gland, amylase, which starts to break carbohydrate. Then food gets transported into your other GI tract, and it gets absorbed. So to maximize the benefit, you have to have how you eat. In the how to eat is also combination of the food. You should mix only certain types of food at a certain way you eat.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so why is that important?
Well, again, because of digestion and the body natural relationships, and this is where body is in harmony with the weather. So whether it's a cold weather, you have a certain, and it's interesting, nature allows that. If you look at all the vegetables which come in wintertime are very different than it comes in summertime. So you should eat seasonal rather than having food which is not seasonal.
Okay.
And I think again, so it's how you eat becomes very important on that piece.
Right.
So not only chewing and properly eating, but also mixing and I think the nice thing about in our culture is that our food is very composite, and it takes into account a lot of these variations. So natural cycles can take care of it. So we talked about why you eat.
Right.
We talked about
How you eat.
how you eat.
Yeah, and
when you eat.
Right.
So then the last two are important. One is how much you eat. How much you eat is the portion size. And I think because our eating habits are more buffet style, we eat too much. We should have a pretty good idea of how much body needs,
Right.
depending on your size, depending on your activity.
Could I interrupt you for a minute and tell you that when you're thinking about buffets, because you go into a show or to somebody's wedding party and you haven't eaten because you're there from 5 o'clock onwards and you don't get your dinner at 9 o'clock, you are hungry like nobody's business. So you're going to pile up your plate, but that's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, any given time, you should only eat enough so that you're still a little hungry.
Right.
And I think in our habits, we have appetizers and then we have buffet.
Yeah.
And it's okay once in a while, but if you're doing it day in, day out,
Yeah.
that's a recipe for problem.
Right.
Because how much you eat determines how many calories you're eating. And that determines how body stores it.
Okay.
As I started this conversation, food is not just what you see. It has to be converted into energy. And body is very controlled, tightly controlled homeostatically. So if you eat, say, 1,000 calories and body only needs 500, what is it going to do with those 500?
So what is it going to do?
That body doesn't know. Now
No.
you've confused the body.
Yes.
So poor body working so hard, because doesn't matter what you do, whatever you eat has to
Yes.
be digested.
Yes.
Because body is saying this is my job
Yes.
and I'm doing my job, has to be digested, have to be absorbed, and then metabolized. You should only eat the amount we need for immediate metabolism.
Ah.
But body also like to store when you are hungry or when
Right.
you're fasting or when there isn't enough food. So
Right.
there is some storage for maybe 5 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours. But if you continue to feed the body with this extra amount,
Right.
body doesn't know, and most of it then is converted into what we call storage energy.
Oh, okay. So that's fat?
That's the another name for fat, and that is the worst.
Right.
And fat, one thing is to have fat in your belly or in your gluteal muscles and stuff like. But when fat continues to feed the body, and fat starts to accumulate, then it starts to get deposited in your what we call visceral organs. So like liver, heart, pancreas, muscles, and that's when the trouble starts. So all our chronic diseases we talk about, diabetes, coronary artery disease, they are big part because of this excessive fat we've been depositing in the body because of this food we are eating excess, and that gets deposited into liver or heart or pancreas. The outcome of that is that all the hormones which body is again using to keep you healthy don't know what to do.
Right. So it's the byproduct of bad eating habits.
Well, today's purpose, I don't want to say good or bad.
Yes.
What I want to share with our people is the knowledge,
Yes.
and then let them decide.
Whether it is good or not.
Yeah, and it's up to them to decide. And
So, Dr. Saab, let me take you back to the olden days when there were sages in the Vedic period where they would eat 4 times a day or 3 times a day, and they would have just enough food, as you mentioned, to sustain your body. And you never found people to be, or pictures of people to be fat or with their stomach sticking out. So, with eating at wrong times and with eating wrong foods, does the body metabolism also get connected with
absolutely, that's what insulin resistance is all about. And obviously, in this podcast, we cannot talk about different hormones, but all these are working in harmony. And insulin plays a very big role in glucose metabolism, in fat metabolism, even protein synthesis. And we'll talk about that under what. But I think the most important thing is that be sensitive, be aware of how much you're eating. And normally speaking, generally speaking, the general wisdom for a white European big people was 2,000 calories diet. I think if you look at our people diet, they easily be 2,500 or 3,000. And when you really only need 1,200 to 1,500 calories.
Okay.
So every day we are eating that much extra calories and not aware. And it's very simple. Carbohydrates, when we come talk about what, we'll talk about it. Each one has a certain amount of calories. And very quick math of awareness. Again, it's about empowerment. It's about education and engaging the people. People should be aware of what that is, you know. So what becomes very important in that context. But how much you eat, simple thing is controlling the portion size. Simple thing is that when you are in a buffet, just take a little bit at a time, and you'll be okay. But I think the biggest problem of not being healthy is we eat too much. And this is now really becoming a huge problem of obesity. And I think most of our chronic diseases, again, in the fifth space, we talked about you could go to the doctor, but then you have to come and live with yourself. That fifth space, this becomes very important.
Dr. Saab, in our next podcast, I would like you to talk about different foods if that is possible.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we talked about 4,
Yeah.
and we'll leave the fifth one, what, on its own.
Yes.
And we'll just talk about what you eat.
Yes.
And that will be different types of food, and reading the label,
Right.
and being aware of it,
Yes.
and how protein, carbohydrates, and fat come together, and the importance of supplements and importance of nutrients.
Those will make sense with all the chat that we've had right now. And in all this, we should then move towards sleeping as well, because sleep and stress are 2 other things that are killing people in the West.
Yeah, so we'll do a whole podcast on its own, 20 minutes on sleep, and then on exercise, and then emotions and relationships.
Dr. Saab, this has been very interesting, and I would like people to give their comments and let us know what they think about it, and other questions that you would like Dr. Saab to tackle. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great opportunity, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.